Getting to know the Gifted Rating Scale second edition, the GRS 2.
Hello, my name is Stephen Pfeiffer, and I'm first author of the GRS and GRS 2. My career, I started out early on as a pediatric and clinical child psychologist in a medical center. However, I didn't fully immerse myself in the gifted field until 1998, when I had the good fortune of being invited to apply for the position as executive director of Duke University's gifted program. And that's really where I got very involved in trying to understand high ability children and began my work on the GRS.
What initially led to the development of the original GRS, first published back in 2003?
I was struck by the fact that there really weren't many instruments or tests or scales to assist in the identification of high ability children other than the IQ test score. In addition, I was struck by the fact that many bright students weren't being identified in the schools in the United States and globally. Essentially, I wanted to look beyond just high intelligence or high cognitive ability, and we wanted to include youngsters who are extraordinarily capable in academics and other talented areas.
What was the impetus for revising the gifted rating scales?
MHS worked closely with us in building in a number of 21st century enhancements that provide the user with an online report that details a student's relative strengths. We feel very strongly that we want to provide teachers, educators, and others who work with students multiple perspectives on students' abilities and capabilities. Also, my work in the field has led me to feel strongly that we really should have a companion scale to the teacher rating scale, a parent scale, so that parents could provide their perspective or insights into their child. And we felt if we could develop a scientifically sound, reliable instrument that worked from a parent's perspective, we were adding something unique to the assessment field. Third, the original GRS went up through age 13-11. And in consulting with schools across the country and internationally, we realized that more and more there was an interest in being able to assess older youngsters. So we decided to expand the age range of the GRS and designing the GRS2.
How does the GRS2 relate to your work around the idea of strengths of the heart?
I was always interested as a clinician in working with high ability youngsters to look beyond what I consider head strengths into heart strengths. My interest was in understanding the whole child, not just how creative and intellectually precocious a high ability youngster was. Ultimately, we came up with 3 super traits that seem to make a real difference in the lives of youngsters when they grow up and become successful young adults. These 3 super traits are emotional intelligence, social skills, and character strengths. So those 3 went into the model of strengths of the heart, and interestingly enough, I built those into the parent form of the GRS2. So we're real excited that our work in understanding the whole child, the whole gifted child, was incorporated into the new GRS2 parent form.
What makes the GRS2 unique in its approach, and how is it making a difference?
Historically, the original GRS and now this exciting new GRS2 has expanded the perspective to provide educators with multiple perspectives on gifted and talented beyond just high intellectual or cognitive ability, so that we would have a state-of-the-art test that was working in the 21st century, that was fair for all children, that was unbiased, that was easy to use, and was cutting edge in terms of being able to identify youngsters who were bright and able.
Learn more about the GRS2. Visit storefront.mhs.com/collections/GRS-2 or scan the QR code.